Can you explain the meaning and what will be the impact, the effects on the people of Ghana?
I think he was not here, so I'll pardon him. I actually did explain, and if you're not clear, you come to my office. I'll give you further explanation.
Because I have a question. I have a question further to that. That is what I'm asking you.
The answer to that is that the current arrangement puts the levies on the value added. Per the new intervention, the levy is going to be on a transaction. As I have indicated, that would mean that the consumer would pay a little more than they have traditionally paid. But as I indicated again, we have weighed that option against the option of also a straightforward VAT, and we have come to the conclusion that this is friendlier to the consumer, and that is why we have put it across. We are upfront about that. And
I'm happy about the answer because it is increasing the VAT through a back door. Simple. That's an explanation. The consumer pay more. If you increase the VAT by 1%, the consumer pays more. If you now apply the 2.5% on the transaction and not the value added, he pays more. So the consumer at the end is the one who loses. For that matter, is increasing VAT through a back door. I'm happy about the answer.
But what do you say is about to pay for all?
No, it is a strategy of implementing a tax measure so that it has minimal impact. I recognize. What do you?
I can tell you that the impact is more than even increasing the VAT by 1%. I can tell you.
We have done the simulations. We have done the simulations, but to conclude, it is better to do this than to carry the economy to the IMF. That we cannot do it. IMF come and do it for us. It is better to do that, and that is why we are taking these steps. We want to exit the IMF program. And as a country, we must begin to implement some of these measures so that we will mobilize sufficient revenue to finance ourselves and not surrender the economic management of this country to the IMF as the NDC did.
But have you done any simulation in terms of the expected revenue from?
We have.
What are you hoping to realize from these reviews?
I don't have the figures here.
Round figure?
I don't have the figures here. I could give you an accurate figure as we proceed. But what we did was to consider an increase in VAT suggested during the stakeholder consultation. What we did was to weigh that against this and to come to the conclusion that this will lead to less hardship and that this will be less punitive on especially lower income earners and consumers than it would be on the rich. That is why we have adopted this strategy. I think it is good. We urge our friends to support it and that we would continue to do this. We want to exit the IMF program. We want to look after our own affairs, and our friends should support us to do that, because when similar situations were faced in the past, the remedy to go to the IMF has shown not to be a remedy that you can live with for long. I thank you very much.
Honorable, I still want to keep you here because you spoke about an anti-business budget, a bad budget. Post-presentation, do you still share that view?
Of course, yes.
Why?
Well, it is clear. First of all, the Minister of Finance was not truthful to the people of Ghana when he said that there is no increase in VAT. He hasn't been truthful at all to the people of Ghana. You have increased VAT through the back door. VAT is a tax on value added. So I pay tax on the value that you have added. I'm paying tax, and you collect that and pay to government. Now, you are now saying that you are maintaining the 2.5% for NHL and VAT, GET fund, but this will not be applied on the value added anymore, but it will be applied on the transaction, the total value. So if you have the cost to you at 10 cedis, and you have added a value of 2 cedis, in the previous situation, the VAT that consumer will pay will be on only the 2 cedis that you have added. And you collect that VAT and pay to government. Now, with the current situation, you are going to apply the VAT on the 10 cedis plus the value you added, which is 2 cedis, making 12. And you can see the effect of that. The impact is greater than even adding 1% or 2% to the rate and apply it on the value added. So he said he did a simulation. He's not able to tell you the impact of that on the people of Ghana. And I can tell you that the impact is more. Consumers are going to pay more and government is going to collect that revenue for whatever they want to use it for. So telling Ghanaians that there is no increase in VAT is throwing dust into the eyes of the people.
Help me out also on the consumer side, where VAT is seen as a consumption tax and it's more of the value of the good. Now, that tax was being applied on the value of that good. Now, it's moved on from the value to a flat rate. Isn't that rather minimizing the impact of what I will pay for that final good?
No, that is not it. When you pay, this is how the VAT works. You are a businessman. You go to buy goods. You pay VAT on it. The cost of the good that you bought and the VAT becomes total cost to you. You are also in business, so therefore you also add some value to it to make money. Your margin, you add it to it. Now, when I come to buy from you, I am also going to pay on the value that you have added to your cost. So what you collect, you the businessman, you go and claim what you have paid earlier to where you bought the goods, you claim that portion from government, which we call the input VAT. And then what you collected from the consumer is the output VAT. The difference is what you pay to government. Now, the new situation that the minister is bringing, the cost to where you bought it, which is 10 cedis, the VAT on it, government will collect that money from him. Then you added your value, making it 12 cedis, and then you apply VAT on it to me, who is a consumer. And whatever you collect on that 12 cedis, you pay that to government as well. You don't go and collect what? Any refund from government. No more input and output. The effect is that it will affect your margin. And for that matter, you want to maintain your margin and the cost will go higher because you want to maintain your margin. And for that matter, what you do claim from government, you don't claim it again. So you add it to your cost. So me, the final consumer, I am the one who suffers because you maintain your margin, it shoot the price up. If you don't want to maintain the margin and forget about you not claiming your input VAT, then you will suffer for it. But the businessman will shift that suffering to the final consumer. So I pay more as a consumer.
But faced with this situation in any economy, what was the best approach in dealing with the revenue challenge? If you look at the first 5 months of this year, apart from revenue from petroleum, the various tax types underperformed.
Compliance. We always say all the time that the taxable population of Ghana is about 6 million.
2 million are paying.
2 million are paying. So let's comply. Let's work on compliance and change the 4 million people so that we rake in more revenue rather than trying to tax and continue to tax the existing 2 million people. That is what the problem is. So compliance. So I'm happy that the minister said they will do more compliance. That is good. If they're able to do that, more revenue will come. But in addition to that compliance, they are taxing Ghanaians through a back door, hiding the rates into it. Because if you want to work the effective rate, it is more than 2.5%. Because 2.5% on the value added is different from 2.5% on the total value. That's big difference. So you are taxing the existing Ghanaians who have been paying the tax, continue to tax them through consumption. I think that it's not a good thing to do.
What about this whole challenge of the fact that a compliance measure is a medium-term approach? There's still a gap right now. Some are saying that that is why a mid-year review was put in place. Plug that loophole now, whilst compliance will deal with that challenge 2019, 2020.
Don't forget that this government told the people of Ghana that they are moving from taxation to production. That is a policy. We will not tax you, but we will ensure that you produce, make more profit, then we tax the profit. That is what I mean by moving from taxation to production. Now, they are now taxing and retaxing. Sorry. So are they coming back to taxation as a way of solving the problem? In the first place, who created that gap? Is it not your own policies of free SHS and other things that created a gap?
No, but some would say that if you look at in terms of growth in taxes, if it hadn't been the target, there had been some significant growth in revenue mobilized compared to the previous years.
It's not true. It is not true.
If you look at 2016, I don't have the figures available, but if you look at those numbers, there had been some growth in terms of revenue mobilized. Maybe the problem has to do with the targets and maybe wrong projection that the economy is going to expand and we're expecting X amount of revenue to come in.
If there has been a growth in revenue mobilization, that's a good thing. But look at the percentage growth in revenue and percentage growth in expenditure. If the percentage growth in expenditure is more than the percentage growth in revenue, you are deepening the gap. That is where the problem is. So to solve the problem, you are making effort to increase your revenue, make effort to reduce your expenditure. Then you are breaching the gap. But if you allow the expenditure to grow faster than the revenue, you have problem. The problem will be more compounded. And we have seen that the expenditure is increasing faster than the revenue with the introduction of policies that are populist. Policies that, for instance, me, if my children are in SSS, senior high, I could have be able to pay as a member of parliament. My salary at least can pay for that. But with a new policy, my children will go to school free. Is that a good policy to lump everything together? All these fingers are not equal.
So you want the differentiation. You can pay for it.
We did that. We started that. Let's look at those people who really need it.
Kicked against free SHS.
We didn't kick against it. We say that it's a good thing, but don't do it wholesome. Start gradually.
Clear in your policy.
No, why wasn't clear? We started by looking at community schools that the people who cannot pay, where we are paying for them, we started. So we were clear. Now, if you had done that, the pressure would have been too much for this government. Okay? About 50% or 60% of students who are in senior high can afford to pay. Their parents can afford to pay. But government is paying for them now.
No, but let me pick your thoughts on the macro target as well. And that has always been a concern for people as well, that whether we're going to do it in a way that we would end the year with these targets being met. Because that is why we have this mid-year review, where we always have to come and revise the numbers. From the revision that has been done by the finance minister, are you sure that we will end the year with these numbers being achieved?
We will definitely meet some of the targets. It has been like that for all government. They will not be able to.
That's not a good practice. It raises issues about your credibility.
They will not be able to meet all the targets.
Why are they not using the mid-year review, you being there, to address this problem? So we end up meeting these targets.
Well, the minister said that he's going to put measures in place to meet all the targets, but we can tell you they will not meet all the targets. Minister says that they are going to appoint a consultant to work, or they are going to outsource payroll so that to ensure that we meet the convergence criteria of 35% of domestic revenue that should be used for salaries or wages.
Is that a good thing? First, the bit on the out.
It's a good thing to do. Well, I'm not sure whether if outsourcing will be able to solve the problem. What would that consultant come to do that the controller and Minister of Finance will not be able to do? What is it going to do? So I'm skeptical about that one. Maybe that can bring some kind of improvement because it's going to be a private person handling that. But I'm not sure if that will bring the wage bill to the current 152% to 35%. So that is it. But it's a good thing to do because we need that one for the ECOWAS zone to meet that criteria in order to have one common currency. We are not able to do it for over 15, 16 years. That is why we don't have a common currency. So it's good that they want to do something like that. But I doubt if the consultant will be able to make any move at all.
But do you think that the other policy measures that they've outlined and hoping that it will be implemented this year, they're going to do that, is going to be achieved?
As I said, they will be able to achieve some of them. But the effect of those targets being achieved is what matters to the street man, the woman of Makola, the one on the street. We want to feel that good macroeconomic targets that are being met in the pocket. That is the best thing for government to think of. You might achieve all the best targets that you have set, but if the economy is hard for you and I, or the person on the street, then it's a problem. So we hope that the government will achieve all the targets, and that will translate into the life of the people of this country.
When I was asking you a question about the Plan B, because it looks like it's still after the presentation, you don't believe that this is the best way to do it.
No, it's not the best. How can it be the best? When you are taxing more, when you are not even bold enough to tell me that you are taxing me VAT additional, you are telling me that you are maintaining the rate of 2.5%, but you are changing the amount on which that the rate will be applied. And to the man on the street, he said that, oh, government didn't increase VAT. There's no VAT. There's no VAT. But he ended up paying more. That is not good. It's not a good policy. Be bold enough to tell me. I was telling the minister that be bold. Tell us that you're increasing the VAT by 2%, 1.5%, or 2.5%. Then we know that I can easily compute the figure. If I go to any market, I can compute and see that the VAT I'm paying it. Right now, even the implementation will be a bit of challenge. Because it is you, the businessman, who know the cost on which you are applying the 2.5%. Because it's a levy now. You understand? So implementation is a bit of challenge. We want the minister to even come more, tell us more how that could be done. Because it's more dangerous than adding 1% to the VAT.
So that is our coverage of the mid-year review by the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta. You heard from government, they believe that these reviews needed to be done to ensure that they indeed improve revenue. But the minority thinks otherwise. They believe that, no, it is not good. It is the fact that you're going to tax us more. It is not good for the economy, and it's going to hurt the economy as well. I have with me other members of parliament and even from the business community as well. Help me out with your names there.
Jacob Osei, the independent presidential candidate, 2012-2016.
Jacob, you've heard the finance minister as well. For you, what do you make of the measures that he has outlined, especially with the taxes that he believes that is going to help improve revenue?
I do agree with the finance minister to some extent.